Hey YouTube, what's up? It's your boy Sean here again from Sean's Rabbit Chain Aquaponic Produce, and we're back with another rabbit farming video. Today is going to be a good one, right? We're linking up with our fellow rabbit farmer, and we're going to be talking a bit about the journey that I took from backyard level to commercial level. And that person, of course, is none other than the lovely Anissa Phillips. So welcome, Anissa.
Hey YouTube, what's up? It's a girl Anissa from Holistic Aqua Farm. I'm back.
Right. So, guys, as you know, this is a two-part series. So, if you haven't seen, this is part 2 actually. So, if you haven't seen part 1, you're definitely gonna have to go over to Anissa's channel and look at that part first. I'm gonna leave the link right up here, as well as in the description box of this video. So you can go and look at part 1. You'll hear about my story, where I came from. And now we're gonna go forward talking about some of the things we're gonna do to get to a commercial level. So Anissa,
Yeah, Sean.
Tell me, how has your journey been thus far in terms of rabbit rearing?
It's been rocky. If I'm being quite frank, it has been rocky. There's been a lot of ups and downs, obstacles that you wasn't expecting. So when I started with just this cage behind me. It's 4 compartments. I actually started with 3 rabbits. But the first rabbit I ever bought was actually a buck, not even a doe, because somebody had a buck for sale, and I liked the price, and I decided I'm going into it.
Yeah, going with
right.
that.
I already had the cage because when I decided I wanted to go into rabbit farming, I wanted to have a place to put the rabbits before I brought the rabbits here. So before I even had a rabbit, I went out and bought a second-hand cage. They were offering the cage for sale because they were getting out of the business, and I took that as an opportunity for me to start. It means I didn't have to put all the cage was already built. So it saved me on labor of having to build a cage. So that's not something I had to do immediately, right? Okay. So I bought the cage, and then after a while I went out, I bought my buck, and I started with my automatic watering system. That was another one of the major investments that I bought, was the nipples. And I didn't even buy PVC. I actually had PVC from another project, some pieces from another project that I just I bought some colors and started gluing them together just because
I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
Save cost. Right? So that's what I did. I eventually lost the buck that I bought before I even had the opportunity to use him. And that loss actually taught me a major lesson in rabbit rearing. When you use an automatic watering system, you need to check the waterers to ensure that the rabbits get water. And I had to learn that the hard way very early. Yeah. Right. I was very excited when I finally bought a couple does to start breeding, and I got kits. I was very excited. Around that time too, I had a dog who used to be here when I brought the rabbits in. I saw that he was a little antsy when the rabbits were there, so I actually took some sheet metal, some uncorrugated sheet metal, and I barricaded the cage entirely at the bottom, so he wouldn't have been able to go under the cage and start to attack them and stuff like that. But when I got kits, I don't know if it's like the little feet or just because of how small they were, the dog got very determined to go and find a way. All the time he couldn't find a way to attack the rabbits. He would see them and leave them alone. All the time he didn't even bother anymore because he knew he couldn't reach them. As soon as the kids got here, he found a way to get go in under the cage. And that was another loss that I had to endure.
So you also suffered
rabbits. So I had to put that as well too. It was devastating. It was heartbreaking. It was, I could have cried, right? But that's all part of the process. Another lesson learned, I realized where he went in, and I had to reinforce that section of the barricade as well too. And that's another lesson I had to learn. When you're dealing with livestock, you have to protect your investment as best as you could to the best of your ability. Yeah. And you have to look for all the vulnerabilities in your system and fix it before before you have to endure the loss, right?
You know, that's an interesting point you made there, because for the persons who are listening, who are looking at getting into rabbit farming, would you advise them to start with a second-hand cage or to start with a new cage from the get-go?
No, I think I would go for what you could afford. If you can afford, because honestly, given the cost of wire and the cost has gone up since, right? If I don't see anything wrong with buying a second-hand cage, provided the quality of the wire is good.
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to get at. Right. Know, because some people are so anxious to start that they're willing to start with anything. But I think there must be a limit to how low you're willing to go, because if you're going to start with a cage that's not secure and you end up losing your rabbits to some type of animal attack, then it's money you would have wasted, because you then get another cage as well as replace the rabbits that you lost. So there must be a bar below which you shouldn't go. At the very least, it should be 16 gauge wire, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
That could withstand an animal attack.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And
right, you also mentioned the watering systems, because we're talking about moving towards commercial. So if your plan is to go commercial, then definitely you need to look at investing in an automatic watering system.
I absolutely agree with you with that. That's the reason, because in my head, even though I have a small operation, in my head, I know what I'm working towards. So for me to do the automatic watering system was twofold, because I'm looking at, I don't want to come and have to refill water bottles every day. So I wanted to save myself time. That was one. And two, regardless of how long it took, I knew that I was working my way up to a commercial level, to having more rabbits. And I wanted to have that system already in place. So like, you'll always have some naysayers and stuff. I remember somebody asking me why I even bothering to implement an automatic watering system when it's just, I only have a handful of rabbits, literally a handful. I had about 3 rabbits at the time.
Yeah.
And to them, it didn't make sense for me to go on, because I had to order my nipples. It didn't make sense that I went through all that trouble of doing that when I could just buy a few water bottles and fill it. But they saw how small I was. I saw how big I was going to get, and I wanted to be ready for that. Right? So I think
actually my first major investment. Apart from the cages, the wire that I imported, before I bought that wire to build cages, even when my cages were made out of wood and wire, I had an automatic watering system,
I think that is the way to go. I think that is the only way to go, in all honesty.
Yeah, because the labor is what kills a lot of rabbits.
Yeah. And then
is what kills you.
Once your animals have water, you will feel a little more at ease for if you spend a night out. You was out late and you didn't reach back in time to fill a water bottle, because you have to be there to fill it every day. If you have a 5-gallon bucket, a 10-gallon barrel, or anything of the sort like that, they could be a little more relaxed. Even if they don't get feed for the night, at least they have water, which they absolutely need to survive.
Yeah.
Right? So all that was in my thinking. It was just, I think it's a matter of having the vision, where you want to be and where you want to go. And I think that is probably why it is you took the kind of leap you took as well, too, because you had that vision and you had that mindset.
Yeah.
You just jump and took a loan and build cages before you had anything to put in the cages, right? I'm thinking your mentality was on the same level as what I was working with as well too. Taking that leap of faith, but you're gonna work, you're gonna put out what you have to put out.
You're not thinking about failure. It doesn't mean that you are going to succeed, But if you're planning succeeding, you can't be planning for failure. A lot of people like to have this safety net below everything that they do. And that prevents them from pushing really hard and going after their goal and dream. Because you always believe you have something you could fall back on if you don't succeed. But if you really want to succeed, you don't plan for failure.
No, you should never plan for failure. Yes. Never.
Things will happen along the way. You will encounter hurdles. you overcome them, and you keep going. You know, you don't sit back planning for if this doesn't work out, what I will do. Of course, you're going to have contingencies, right? But you're not planning for failure. Anytime you think, well, I ain't gonna do this in case it don't work out, you know, then you're not actually planning for success. You know, you think too much about if things don't work, and that is why in a lot of cases with most people they don't work. Because
I could agree with that. You plan for success. I agree with that, despite the hurdles. Because I mean, we have both experienced losses early on in the backyard setup, having to losing rabbits, and then you have to go now and buy back rabbits to start over and stuff like that. I mean, again, if you have that focus and you have that vision, this is where you want to go. And like you said, in planning for success, you're going to do what you have to do. So you have to buy back your breeders. For me, I didn't lose the breeders. I did lose a breeder and I had to buy that back, but I also lost kits. So, you know, something you have to plan for.
Yeah.
That it's going to happen, especially when you're dealing with stuff livestock.
Okay, so guys, you know what? We're having so much fun. We haven't even realized how long we've been talking. And we have also realized that this topic is going to take a lot more than 2 parts. So we're going to round off part 2 here for today. And we're going to resume with our part 3, 4, as many parts as it takes for you all to see the journey that we took from backyard to commercial. So, guys, on behalf of my business partner, Sean McLean, Sean Austin from Sean's Rabbitry and Aquaponic Produce, Anissa Phillips of Holistic Aqua Farms, we thank you all. Anissa, give them a little send-off.
No problem. For those of you who are interested in actually seeing the transition, I will be documenting my process of going from this under the garage setup to somewhat more of a commercial level. So you'll be able to see the journey as well too, with building cages, buying more breeders and stuff like that. So you could, you know, subscribe to my channel as well too, so you'll be able to see the process happening as it unfolds.
Right, so guys, definitely go over and show Ali and Anissa's channel some love, right? Subscribe, follow, because we are going to be doing a lot of work together in the future, and you all don't want to miss out on anything. Just to give you all a bit of a teaser, my next video coming on Monday, please God, you all are going to get a little hint into some of the activity that we're going to be engaging in going forward, especially with some rabbit farmers in other islands of the Caribbean chain. So definitely check that video out Monday coming, and stay tuned for more from Sean's Rabbitry and Holistic Aqua Farms. Peace.